I feel sorry for whoever's up next. And JC, where's he at? JC Hall. Pastor Hall.
I think he took my son to the bathroom.
Oh, okay. Well, he's hired. We'll take him. That's awesome. We're going to have Richard Mack come speak. Richard is a sheriff, author, speaker, former sheriff, served in a wide variety of roles throughout the police officers and policing agencies. I think the first time I heard about him was when he sued the federal government for the Brady Bill. And I said to myself, man, that's a guy I want to meet. And then I looked and said it was in Arizona. I said, well, I don't guess that's going to happen. But he has been in and out of the news, and I followed him on the internet, and I admire the man and his courage. And just to let you know what kind of trooper he is, when did you have your heart attack?
January 12th.
January 12th, the man had a heart attack. I think I contacted him 2 weeks later, and he says, I'll be there. What are you talking about? I don't have a problem. We certainly appreciate him coming. He come from Arizona. It's a long way. Please give him a hand. And when he's done, he will administer our oath or reaffirm our oath with us. Richard Mack.
Before January 12th, I would have had no problem following Chris Ann and her husband. But I just don't have the stamina now. So we've had national conventions, and I always speak before Chris Ann. I'm that smart. You know, I know she should be last. And I tell you what, I could listen to the Chris and Chris Ann team talk about our country and our Constitution all day long. And I formed a group called the CSPOA. How many of you can say that? CSPOA, Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. I want you to remember those 5 letters, CSPOA, and then add 3 more to it, .org. Okay, go to that website and become a member. Every oath keeper should be a member of the CSPOA. Every member of CSPOA should be an oath keeper, because that's really what we push. In 1994, I wrote a book right after I sued the federal government and filed the lawsuit. Didn't win yet. Filed the lawsuit against the Clinton administration. And I wrote a book called From My Cold Dead Fingers. And the last chapter is all about how all of us in law enforcement should be keeping our oath of office. That's way back in 1994. So I was ahead of my time. And yes, Chris Ann, I was a constitutionally minded sheriff.
Yeah.
And not only did I sue the federal government, but one time I actually threatened to arrest the Army Corps of Engineers in my county. And they wouldn't let us fix a bridge. They thought it belonged to them. The bridge didn't belong to them. They said, well, the river is ours, that it crosses. And I said, well, the river, your river, washed our bridge out. So we should sue you for that too. I'm already suing on another issue, but they threatened to arrest the county board of supervisors, the county commissioners, if they touched the bridge before they completed their environmental impact studies. And then they said they were going to arrest all the maintenance workers. I wasn't even involved in the situation. It wasn't my business until they threatened to arrest people in my county. So I called them into my office and we had a little talk. And I said, I'm already suing the federal government, and just so you know, yes, I'm crazy. So if you try to arrest anybody, I'm going to do something really crazy. I will arrest you.
Amen, brother.
And so, guess what happened? Did you hear about it in the papers, how they were all arrested and they tried to arrest me and they took us all to jail? They left town. They left. And we fixed the bridge. Nobody went to jail. Oh, and they threatened to fine us $50,000 a day for every day we were in violation. We didn't pay a dime in fines, and everything got taken care of.
Amen, brother.
And isn't that how we should do it today?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you want to restore liberty? Wild Bill and I were just talking about this. have 100 sheriffs arrest about 400 IRS agents. You know what will happen the next day? Freedom will happen the next day. And the sheriff that isn't here, I don't care if you're not here, do your job tomorrow. Do your duty tomorrow and protect the citizens. Wow. Now I must have really got going. I was just trying to keep up with Chris Ann. I knocked somebody's guitars over. Somebody want to come get those? I did not touch them. I think they wounded me. So where does my lawyer contact this band? Yeah. So if we really want to restore liberty in America, every sheriff, not all of them, I would take just a third. You know how many that would be? That'd be about 1,000. I want 1,000 sheriffs to keep their oath. I want 1,000 sheriffs to do their job. I want 1,000 sheriffs to abolish out of control, unlawful, criminal government. Okay? Has this ever happened before? It has. I'm not the only one. Now, some of these sheriffs and other local officials, I'm still so amazed that they actually trust the federal government. So Friday I was on my way from Phoenix Airport, Sky Harbor Airport, and I see the USA Today newspaper. And on the front page, it has an article. You can look this up for yourself. And it's all about how DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration agents in Latin America are being scrutinized because dozens of them since 2004 have gone to sex parties and other parties with prostitutes. And guess who supplied the prostitutes? The cartels of Colombia. And this is all just, just now coming out, but it's happening. It's been happening for a long time. Let me tell you what's not going to happen. None of these DEA agents are going to be charged criminally. None of them are going to be fired. And nothing else is going to happen. They'll have some dog and pony shows that Chris Ann was talking about. And some Republicans will get up there and point their fingers at the DEA director and tell them to straighten up. And then they'll be on Fox News later saying what a tough guy they were. And yet, the IRS will come after law-abiding Americans tomorrow, and we will have people sit back, sheriffs sitting on their butts watching as these atrocities and crimes are being committed right in front of them. We can't have the home of the brave and land of the free if we continue to allow that to occur in America. We can't let these crimes go. Crimes by the government are one thing, and they always get away with them. Why would any sheriff trust the IRS? They commit crimes all the time. We all know it. The rap sheet for the IRS goes back 50, 60, 70 years. Even before FDR. FDR really brought them up to a new level. But these are crimes. Will your sheriff protect you from all criminals, both foreign and domestic? That's his job. And he needs to hear from you. Okay? One other periodical that I very seldom buy, and I actually buy USA Today. You know why? I buy that one frequently, almost every time I fly. Because there's always something in there exposing federal government crimes. I mean, frequently. Okay? Front page this time with the DEA. But your sheriff will trust these guys, and your sheriff even has narcotics task forces formed with the DEA. Why would he do that? When they're a bunch of crooks anyway. Back in 1995, I met this man. He's on the front page, and he was a friend of mine. God rest his soul. He passed away a number of years ago from a brain tumor. He's on the front page of Time magazine. What did he do? Well, his name was Dick Carver. And he was a county commissioner from Nye County, Nevada. And they had a similar problem that we did with our bridge, except they had an entire road washout in Nye County, and it was supposedly on federal Forest Service land. And you know that they just wanted to put the road and the berms back on the road the way they were before the flood. And nobody could use the road now that had been used by the people of Nye County for about 100 years. And the Forest Service says, you can't fix the road because only we can, because it's on our property. And Dick Carver said, do you guys even know what you talk about? Do you guys even read the Constitution? And you know the way Dick Carver campaigned? He walked around campaigning door to door, handing out these pocket constitutions. What a novel idea. He says, because I will keep my oath to this Constitution. So if you want to know what I'm going to do as your supervisor and county commissioner, read the rule book. Read the plan. So here comes the Forest Service saying, we'll take care of the road, you can't fix it, you can't touch it. So they vote, the county commissioners in Nye County, Nevada, right next to Las Vegas, just over the hill. They voted unanimously, 3-0, to fix the road. Forest Service says, we'll arrest you, we'll stop you. So Dick Carver went out there with his bulldozer, got on his bulldozer, and started to clear the road. Then the Forest Service, 3 Forest Service agents stood in front of the bulldozer. Not smart. Okay? But they stood in front of the bulldozer. Dick Carver had some deputies from the Nye County Sheriff's Office and 150 members of the local militia.
Amen, brother.
Oh, you can't say that, sorry. You can say brother, you can't say militia. So, in other words, people from the county showed up to back Dick Carver. And they got there, and he got off, and when the 3 agents got in front of him, he turned it off, got down, went over and told the deputies, if they get in front of me again, arrest them. Never said anything to the 3 agents. They moved out of the way, and do you know what? They fixed the road. And the world didn't stop. And everything was fine. And the agents didn't get killed, getting run over by the bulldozer. They didn't go to jail from the deputies, and they weren't taken into custody by the militia. And Dick Carver made the front page of Time magazine because he did that. And now let me tell you, where are the Dick Carver County Commissioners today in America? Do you have some here in North Carolina? I love North Carolina. I love coming to the Carolinas. It's so rich with cultural history and standing for what's right and standing for freedom and personal liberty. And that we do, as Chris said, and we stand for our neighbors. We're not going to watch when the IRS comes in and destroys families and businesses and bank accounts and steals property. We will stand with our sheriff while he takes those crooks to jail. But we're not going to watch crimes being committed against our neighbors anymore. We will abolish or alter such government. And hopefully you have your sheriff helping you with that, because if you do, it's going to make it so much more effective and peaceful. The proposal that we have, that we do with CSPOA all across the country, is that if we do this and we have our sheriff standing, the restoration of freedom and liberty in our Constitution will remain peaceful. And I come here today to honor Dick Carver. He was a friend of mine. He was a friend of freedom. And he put his life on the line for our constitutional liberties. He was a man of God. He was a family man. After he died, his wife, who was also in the picture, took his place as county commissioner. Now this is the scoop. I decided at one point that I would risk everything and sue the federal government. 6 other sheriffs from across the country joined that lawsuit. I literally sued the Clinton administration. Yeah. I was the only person in history. Well, you know the amazing miracle about that, right? We were talking about miracles earlier. You know the amazing miracle about suing the Clintons? Is if you live to tell about it, it's a miracle. And I did, you know? And not only that, but look at this. Now, let's all look back at history. And I looked at this very seriously. I was the only person to ever sue Bill Clinton on a non-sexual matter. Yeah. So, boy, that should be all over the history book, shouldn't it? Yeah. But I need you to understand something. This case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. 7 sheriffs. One from Montana, Prince, and myself ended at the Supreme Court in December of 1996. The decision rendered June 27, 1997. This is a copy of the case, the highlighted version of the case. You'd be amazed at what the United States Supreme Court said. Listen to this. We have held, however, that state legislatures are not subject to federal direction in the United States Supreme Court. Get this, what does this say about Obamacare? The federal government, we held, may not compel the states to enact or administer a federal regulatory program. What does that do to Obamacare? South Carolina's already used our case to opt out. We've got to stop it. But you know why the states are going along? Obama is giving them billions to expand state Medicare. The governor in Arizona took the bribe. And you know what? Most of your sheriffs and chiefs of police take bribes from the federal government too. What is the federal government buying? They're buying the same thing anybody else does with a bribery. They're buying support. They're buying loyalty. They're buying friendship. They're bribes. And they work. You know why you know they work? Because I have sheriffs telling me all the time, I can't do what Sheriff Mack says. I can't arrest the federal government. I can't stand. I can't do something to stop this, like Sheriff Gillespie in Clark County at the Bundy situation. I can't get involved. I might lose federal funding. That proves those bribes are working.
Yep.
And they are. And the states have fallen prey to this stupid, ugly, illegal system. There's no such thing as legalized bribery. That's what they'll tell you. It's legalized bribery. No, there's not. It's bribery. It's against the law. This is a $400,000 document, and if you can't afford $1 to buy this $400,000 document, I'll give it to you. Or if you buy any of my other books off the table, you get it free. Now, there is a solution, and I put the solution together in 2 books. One of them, The County Sheriff, America's Last Hope. And it asks the question, when government becomes venal and oppressive, to whom can the American people turn for peace, safety, and liberty? If not the county sheriff, who already swore that oath to protect and defend your God-given rights. He's already on the record. He took the oath. And then its sequel, Are You a David? And this book points out, and on the cover is Sheriff Pamela Elliott from Texas, one of our constitutional sheriffs. And I thought it would be a great attention getter to show a female sheriff asking the question, are you a David? She is. And you want to ask that same question to every one of your sheriffs and your public officials. Are you a David? County commissioners, are you a David? Are you willing to stand against the Goliath today? And first, like Chris Ann said, we have to know who Goliath is. And these guys don't even know anything about the Constitution. So you've got a lot of work to do. If you think Chris Ann and I can train all of the public officials across the country, we can't. We're trying. She's trying more than I am. Poor girl, I don't know how she keeps up with her schedule. My schedule doing that gave me a heart attack, so watch out. So, my dear friends, it's up to you. None of this is going to work if you don't get involved in the process. You need to take this book to your sheriff and ask him. Read it, and I'm going to come back and I want you to give me the answer. Are you a David? It's an amazing process. And again, all of you can get sign-up forms to join the CSPOA over at the table. And a DVD that we just did in September in Washington, D.C. that has Chris Ann and Stuart Rhodes, and I feel it quite sincerely, was Stuart Rhodes' best speech I've ever heard him give. Amen. And it answers a lot of questions. And I was on Alex Jones this Thursday, and a guy asked a question about, well, when? What do we do? What are we really going to do? And I said, Stuart Rhodes answered that question in his speech. You really want to get that. And, of course, it's worth getting to be able to take this home and have Chris Ann Hall in your computer anytime you want it. And she's been amazing for our movement. She's been amazing for our training our sheriffs. And you want your sheriffs to hear her message. You want your sheriffs at our CSPOA training. Bring it to your county. Let's do it here. Let's get everyone trained. And we've had sheriffs do that training for their entire department, for all their deputies, for all their employees. You really want to make a difference? Let's do that. I promise you that there still is a peaceful solution to what's going on in America today. If your sheriff is not involved in the process and local officials involved in the process, there is no hope. America will die. Oh, unless you're thinking that somehow Washington, D.C. is going to fix itself. That is a write-off. That's already a given. It's not going to. Our Constitution is not going to be restored in Washington, D.C. Oh, well, maybe if we just elect another Republican there. I think the track record is pretty clear there also, isn't it? Now, one other quote. I'll end with this quote. One other quote from my Supreme Court decision. This is the United States Supreme Court talking, folks. And let's remember, Chris Ann touched on this. Does the United States Supreme Court make law? No. They don't make law. What did Chris Ann say? All legislative authority is vested in a Congress. That's the first rule of the Constitution right after the preamble. You read it yourself. So does the president have lawmaking authority? None. Does the United States Supreme Court have lawmaking authority? None. All legislative authority is vested in a Congress. All. Okay? So, it's so amazing how principled this decision was. You'll be astonished to read this 16 little page pocket booklet of the decision. Again, $400,000 document. Just how much do you think it costs to go to the Supreme Court? And Scalia, who wrote the decision, is quoting another justice prior to this case. And he said, quote, "But the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. It divides power among sovereigns and among branches of government precisely so that we may resist the temptation to concentrate power in one location as an expedient solution to the crisis of the day." An expedient solution to the crisis of the day. The Constitution prevents that if we have local officials who will enforce the Constitution, defend the Constitution, live the Constitution, support, defend, and obey the United States Constitution just as they swore to do. My dear friends, we can take America back. County by county, state by state, one sheriff at a time, we the people joining with local officials and our sheriffs in defense of liberty. It's peaceful, it's effective, it's lawful, it's constitutional, and it's American. God bless you, and thank you so much for having me here today.